Waterloo, élection à the battle. A timeline of the events of the battle on June 18, 1815. 3:30 a.m. Wellington receives confirmation that Blücher and the Prussians will march to Waterloo. 6 a.m. The Allied army takes their position north of the Hougoumont. The French army deploys to the area surrounding La Belle Alliance. 7 a.m. Napoleon eats his breakfast at Le Caillou. 9 a.m. Wellington orders readjustments to the defense of the Hougoumont. Napoleon sends his chief engineer to conduct a reconnaissance of the Allied defenses. 11 a.m. Napoleon makes a decision to commence the attack on the French left, opposite the Hougoumont. 11:20 a.m. The first shots of the battle are fired. 11:20 a.m., 12:20 p.m. The Allied army is driven from the woods and orchard at the Hougoumont. They conduct a counterattack. 12:20 p.m., 1:15 p.m. The fighting for the Hougoumont intensifies, and French troops succeed in forcing entry. 1:15 p.m., 2:15 p.m. The Prussian army closes in on the French from the east. French cavalry head to face the approaching troops. 1:30 p.m. Napoleon orders an attack at the Allied army center, successfully pushing their line back to La Haye-Sainte. Allied brigades then surround the French at this location and push Napoleon back to La Belle Alliance. 2:15 p.m., 3:00 p.m. The struggle for the Hougoumont continues. Nearly 15,000 men are embroiled in the task of taking or defending the chateau. Napoleon launches his heavy cavalry and lancers to counter the Allied cavalry, and they inflict heavy losses. The Prussian brigades are slow to progress toward the site. 3:00 p.m., 4:00 p.m. The buildings at Hougoumont are set on fire, and the Allied army reinforces La Haye-Sainte, but is in great need of ammunition resupply. 4:00 p.m., 6:00 p.m. Wellington readjusts his troops. The French misunderstand this action as a sign of withdrawal and order a concerted cavalry charge. The Allied infantry form squares to meet the attack. Attacks continue on La Haye-Sainte and the Hougoumont, which remains in Allied hands. 6:00 p.m., 6:30 p.m. After fierce fighting, La Haye-Sainte falls to the French, and the village of Plancenoit falls to the Prussian forces. Napoleon is compelled to deploy troops to recapture the village. 6:30 p.m. 7:00 p.m. Napoleon's troops and the Prussians relentlessly attack and counterattack at Plancenoit, with the village eventually held by the French. 7:00 p.m., 8:30 p.m. Wellington reorganizes his central defense after the loss of La Haye-Sainte. The Prussians once again regain control of Plancenoit. Napoleon gives orders for his guard to advance north, and they suffer badly from the Allied artillery. The French begin to collapse and commence a disorderly retreat. 8:30 p.m. 10:30 p.m. Wellington signals an advance and rides to La Belle Alliance, where he famously meets Blücher. The French recoil and the Prussians take the pursuit.